Hey guys, I just wanted to do a quick video to show you the progress that I made in the fence project. The last time that I had done a video, I went through with the weed trimmer and I cleared out all the ferns I could. I kind of picked up some sticks, and then I actually went through with my weed trimmer, but I put a blade on it that allowed me to cut the saplings right out of the ground. I didn't have to get my chainsaw off of that, and it actually saved me quite a bit of time. I really like that blade that I put on there, and I ended up using it for some other projects in the meantime. However, after I was done with that, I went through with the chainsaw to move the big stuff. I had to cut down some trees, I had to cut down some logs that had fallen, some trees that had fallen across the path that I needed, and I finished up the cleaning up part of it as I went through with the chainsaw. So after that, I went through and I ran a line, a string, from one corner to the other, and I just made straight lines, and I put my T-posts 25 feet apart and hammered them all down into the ground. I used a T-post driver, which saves a lot of time. It's a lot easier than using a sledgehammer, but it was a lot of work. I enlisted the help of my kids with that, and then I went through and I had my son put the insulators on every T-post. So the last thing that I did before I am ready to put up the actual electric wire, the high tensile wire, is I went through and I put the corner braces on all of the T-posts. So what I use for corner braces on T-posts is a product called Wedge Loc. They sell 3 different versions. There's a vertical bar brace, there is an end bar, which is from the top of the T-post down to the lower part of another T-post, and then there is the corner. The corner is constructed of two brace brackets, and it allows you to reinforce a corner. And I really like these things. They are just very tough. Once you put them in place, those T-posts do not move at all, and even when I put a strainer on the high tensile wire, they don't move. They hold right in place. So I really like that product. The alternative was to get round posts, round wood treated posts, 5/6s, which are running currently. They're running about 14 bucks a piece. So I did the math. The T-post system with the Wedge Locs are still cheaper. Plus I like the fact that they don't rot out, and if I really need to, I can move them. Hopefully I won't have to move them, but being up against the property the way I am, if my property buddy, my property neighbor comes along and says, hey, I think this is on my property, at least I can move it and I don't have to start from scratch. I don't think that I crossed over onto his property anywhere, but some of the places where the ribbons are, it was kind of close. So I erred on the side of caution, and I tried to stay about 5 to 8 feet on my side of the property. And I stayed away from the rock walls as much as I could. Because around here in New England, the rock walls are kind of the de facto property boundary, but I didn't want to assume anything, so I tried to be careful. So the way these corner Wedge Locs work is on your corner, which is this T-post, you put this bracket, which has 2 parts for the braces. You just use another T-post on each side. You don't have to buy any special bars or anything. You just use a T-post, and they fit right in here. And then you run it down to the ground on the adjacent T-post, and it just fits right in there. It's pretty easy. It only takes about 10 minutes to get everything set up. And I'll tell you, once these things are in there, they do not move. They are just sturdy. So, like I said, I really like them, and I plan on continuing to use these on my corners. Now, I came to the other electric fence that's already in place, and the way the property runs is it comes up this rock wall, and then it shoots over about 20 feet to this rock wall. and then it goes up that way. So as you can see, might be a little hard to see it on the camera, but there is a direct line of T-posts, and they're all about, I'd say, 7, 10 feet, 5 feet in places. But I stayed off the wall for a couple of reasons. One is where there's rocks that you can see, there's also rocks underneath them and off to the sides of them that you can't see. So I found that every time you put in a T-post and you're a couple feet off that wall, it doesn't take much to hit a rock and then you're going nowhere. So I sacrificed a little bit of space and came into the woods a little bit more off those walls, and it was a lot easier to drive the posts, even though sometimes I ended up driving posts into roots and I probably will never recover those again. But anyway, I was able to get a nice straight line right down here, as you can see. So given that there was this strange corner here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my high tensile over to this fence, and I'm going to tie right into the fence that's going this way. And then I'm going to probably remove this bracket, this brace, because I don't think it'll be necessary. It'll still have a brace because the pole of the fence is going down this way. So this will be reinforced, and there is a big log on my fence. Hold on. It's not going to be very effective with that. Wait a second. Oh yeah, it is on the fence. So that's not helpful. A little loose right now. So anyway, yeah, I still need to go through here and clean some of this stuff off. Every place that there's a branch touching the fence, that's a problem. Should be good for about 10 minutes. Alright, so I installed these strainers, and these ones are really nice because they have a hole in the end here, so you can actually just run the wire straight through, which is what I did. There's a hole inside the strainer, so when you first set this up, you run it straight through into that little hole, and then all the way through you tie it off, and then you come back when you're done and you just crank on these to tighten them up. And you don't have to do any splicing or anything. You just crank them up, they get nice and tight, and you're good to go. And then of course, after the winter and the wind and everything blowing on the wires, you'd be surprised how much a steel wire will stretch out as the wind blows on it. So in the springtime I came back and I tightened these a little bit. So back to this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this wire straight over to there, and then I'm going to remove this brace, and then I'll tighten this up a little bit, and we should be good to go. Currently the only direction of the current is coming up from there. It doesn't actually, the electrifier doesn't actually loop in both directions right now. I need to dig a hole and run an underground wire under the corral in order to get the electrifier going in both directions. So if anything happens from that electrifier up there down to here, if this line gets cut, then the rest of the system is down, which is a problem because, you know, once I really start to expand this out and I get it going this way, I don't want anything to cause the charge to just disappear off the fence, because the cows will figure it out, and when they figure out the charge is gone, they'll be gone. So guys, I just wanted to do a quick video and show you the progress that I made installing the fence. As I said, I started out with just using the weed trimmer and leveling all the ferns and clearing out some of the sticks. And I went through with the weed trimmer and a blade attachment on it and cut out a lot of the smaller saplings. And then finally I went through with the chainsaw and moved the big stuff. I had to cut down some trees, I had to cut up some trees that had fallen across the path, and I got it all out of the way. I ran some lines to install the T-post. I had my kids do the insulators on all the T-posts, and then I came back later and I installed the Wedge Loc corner braces. So the next step is to get the wire installed. I have a spinning jenny that I borrowed from a friend that'll help me run that wire. All it does is it spins as I pull the wire, and I can walk the perimeter and just pull it all through the system. So that's the next step, but that's not for today. Today I'm just doing a walkthrough of the system and showing you what I have installed so far, and I hope that I can get a chance in the next couple days to run that wire so we can really get this system finished off and start allowing our cows back in this area. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it informative or you just found it entertaining, I encourage you to subscribe, hit the notify button if you want to know when I put out new videos. So until next time, thanks for watching. See ya.